If you'd like to make your NFL games a little more interesting, you've come to the right place. It's the Even Money Podcast with Ross Tucker and Steve Fezzik.
Yeah, Vegas, baby, Vegas. It is the Even Money Podcast, and we are presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Love those dudes. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years. Gosh, this might be my 8th season talking about betting here on the Even Money Podcast with my boy, Steve Fezzik, who is off this week. We've got some travel issues, so I am joined today by my buddy, Simon Hunter from Philly, another Philly guy. Check him out on social media at Simon Hunter NFL. He's co-host of the Favorites Pod on Action Network. You need to follow him on social media. That's how you know everything he's always got going on. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL. We, of course, are always available on YouTube, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. And then what you need to do is follow at Ross Tucker Pod. So when we post the new Ross Tucker Football Podcast or Fantasy Feast or whatever, you see immediately when it's posted, and you get the highlight clips, the best clips, 2 or 3 clips maybe from each of the other shows. Simon, what's up, man? How are you?
Good, brother. I'm an anxious guy at this time of year. I'm just getting ready for football. All I can think about is about football, but you know how it is. These are times of year you're trying to kill the days, spend time with family, and make up what you need to, just because you're going to disappear for about 6 months.
Yeah, let's talk about that, okay? So we've talked about this before because you've been on the show before. But listen, we get new listeners all the time, new YouTube viewers, and maybe they forget from a year ago because you were on about a year ago talking NFL win totals. So just give them your background, Simon, and what you're doing now professionally, because I know it's not just media. You also are part of a syndicate, so just give them the rundown.
Yeah, I started betting on the syndicate about, I might be like you, buddy. I think 10 years come pretty fast, but I'll be entering my 10th season betting professionally. So I started off as a runner for 2 years, worked my way up to be one of the lead guys in the group I work for, betting NFL. And that's what I specialize in. So there might be, we bought a couple other syndicates over the last 3 years. There might be about 100 guys I work with now, but luckily I'm still the only one that does NFL for my group. So it's a high pressure job, Ross, as sure as a lot of people understand when they're wanting to work, but I love it. And I pretty much ventured into media. I think they legalized it in 2018, New Jersey, and I moved back here right around then from Las Vegas, and basically, started doing shows with Chad Millman, who works for the Action Network. And we started, he had a show called The Favorites. I joined him, and I would do maybe like a 15-minute hit, just giving out picks. And it's kind of turned, I would say, really crazy how big everything's gotten in the media with sports betting since more states have come online. I'm sure you experienced it, Ross. So I kind of went from this shady backroom guy as a sports bettor to, Ross can see me now. I'm clean shaved. I do media hits. I try not to curse as much on Twitter at people. I'm slowly getting better at it, but I'm still at my core. I'm always looking for the edge. I'm a sports bettor at my heart. So for me, it never doesn't matter how big I'll get in media. I always want to be sports betting and working for a syndicate. So it's been cool experiencing both worlds.
So I've got so many questions just based on you saying that right there. So, because these are things I don't know that much about.
Yeah.
So how does one betting syndicate buy other betting syndicates, and what's the value in doing so?
Like, how do we buy guys out?
Yeah, I guess, how does a syndicate buy other syndicates?
Either they want to step down, like the guys who are running it. They're just like,
okay. So it's the guys who are running it don't want to be the ones placing the bets anymore.
Yeah, there's just so much drama.
So they're basically selling you their clients.
Their clients and the guys who work under them, which is like, you want to, like, if I have, say, 5 guys on my team that does NFL, it's the best. Like, I'm all about adding more smart guys who are established, because there's just not that there's so many frauds out there, but it's really hard to be consistent, especially in NFL. And when I get a bunch of different guys telling me different information, it's the best, because I don't know all the answers. I'll tell you right now, like, I am constantly learning. That's been a huge advantage to me as a sports bettor. It's like every year I adapt to the league, and COVID really magnified that. I mean, we had a whole season of no fans. That was major adjustment. That was a big learning thing for me where I took me a little bit to catch up to it. So yeah, the buying of syndicates actually is pretty rare, but it does happen because guys just want to move on in life. You know, like the guy I work under, Bob, I mean, he might be 73 now. It's like, how much longer is he going to still be doing this? But he's addicted. He doesn't even care about the money. He just loves the rush. So he's one of those guys where I can't sell him selling our group.
So, so let's talk about the syndicate for a second. So there's 100 people you work with, which means 100 people that buy in, that put their money in.
No, there's about 100 other guys that do what I do, which is we make bets, we have clients, and like we pull money together. Like I just hit really big on the NBA Finals. I don't know as much. I watch basketball, but I watch the Sixers. That's as far as my NBA knowledge goes because I work in this group where, like, okay, the guy I work with, he gave out the Warriors early on. Like, I'm in the email. Like, again, it's funny that we still do an AOL email, but that's where the group is done. And he'll just keep sending out different tiers. So he'll say, okay, tonight, Golden State, their bet's a tier 1. That's like, you want to bet pretty heavy on that. Other nights, like on one night he was on Boston, he was like, or the under, it was a tier 3 play. It was a lower play. So that's how I give out those picks on my own show because I don't know stuff. Like I don't know the NBA like that, but I know this guy, he's like me. He's putting 80-hour work into that stuff. So, no, it's 100 guys who, you know, I have a woman I literally just had lunch with this over this weekend. She's a house mom. She's a mom with 3 kids. She's our cricket expert. Like this woman, you would never know. She looks like a hippie with her glasses. So, yeah, man, it's all like people wouldn't even know. She's your next door neighbor. You have no idea this woman deals with hundreds of thousands of dollars.
All right, so I guess my question is, let's say I want to be part of the syndicate, not from a knowledge standpoint, but from a money standpoint. Like I want to put money in.
Like you
How
want to be
does
a
that
client.
part of it work?
So it'd be like they would vest you, like you would have to give your social, your driver's license, and things like that. And you know, they'd probably do a nice little background check on you, see if you're working for other groups or see what you're up to. And then you'd pretty much put on a waiting list. And once you're approved, they would add you to, you know, if you wanted to get my plays, they would add you to the list if someone wanted to drop out. But I haven't lost a client in 5 years and I just doubled the price and they all read up. So it's kind of like, I think it's one of those things, once you get in, you don't want to leave it. And you know, it is. I mean, over COVID, all these guys who bet under me, like bet my plays, all these guys' value and how much money they have went up tenfold. I mean, these rich people got way richer over COVID. So that's why I upped my price because it was like, you know, there's a recession. Not everyone's going through a recession, but everyone kind of is. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's like I took a risk. I wanted more money, and by the weekend, every person signed up for the upcoming 2022 season. So I'm in a good spot with that.
So do they only do NFL or do they have to do everything or they can pick and choose their sports?
Pick and choose. So, like, I only take on 100 people. I wish I took on more, but they're a little old school. They don't want me to have a bigger list. And again, that's something I bitch about constantly because I want more money like anyone else. But I get it. These guys are old school. There's a way it's done. So they keep the clientele small and secure, and there's a value to that. But yeah, I would say the most you can have is 100 per sport. And football is easily our biggest sport. NFL, college, those are the 2 biggest ones. Internationally, cricket, soccer, NBA, those are probably the biggest ones. But for here in America, it definitely goes NFL, college football, and then baseball is our biggest charge for like selecting picks.
So one of the things you said earlier, you said it's a high pressure job.
Yeah.
Talk about that. There's 100 people you work with. You're the only one who bets NFL.
Well, I got guys under me that they bet it, but they don't put out the list. Like they don't put out the plays. When it all comes down to, I'm the one that dictates what we're playing that week. Again, I go through all this stuff with these guys. There's certain weeks where, yeah, I'll take senior role. I'll be like, no, like we're taking this dog here because I hate betting favorites. But if a guy gives me enough reasons, I'll take a favorite. There's just always such value in the dog and taking the money line and underdog. So for me, the stress of it's the losing streaks. Everyone's going to lose. Like as a pro, I'm used to that. I know that. But I feel like what I'm so great at is it's never more than 2 weeks. And especially during the NFL season, I've never had back to back, like really bad losing weeks. But it does happen. And like I've had losing months. I mean, last year I had a really bad October, which is very rare for me. But luckily, November, December, the playoffs were incredible for me. So that stuff's like, that's what it's all about. But when you're in the thick of it, like you're in the middle of this football season and you're losing, and it's cold here in New Jersey, man, the air smells terrible. The food tastes awful. Your life's just terrible. But then once I start winning again, it kind of brings it back. But I think you need to be that kind of way to make it in this business. You can't be like, oh, it's all good, I'll get it back. No, you need to kind of suffer and be like, instead of putting 80 hours in this week, I'm putting 85, putting 90 hours in, just not sleeping, trying to get this locked down. So for me, it's again, the money's awesome, but it's definitely about the feeling of being right on a Tuesday for a game on a Sunday is the coolest feeling in the world. Like sometimes lines will open and I'll know literally on a Monday, like that's a trap. The whole public's gonna be betting this one side, and I will all week will be betting consistently the other number, and I'll just keep getting good value. And the sports books will never know it's me because I'm such little bets at a time. They won't know that I'm taking advantage of them. So that to me is why I love doing what I do.
I love athletic greens, Simon. When you're in one of those bad moments, the air doesn't taste good or whatever.
Yeah.
Get some athletic greens. 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. Simon, you don't look, no offense, you don't look like a guy that eats a lot of vegetables. And I don't mean that from your physique. I just don't picture you eating a lot of vegetables. I don't either. I mean, I try. But so what I do now is I drink my vegetables with athletic greens, less than $3 a day. Very good for gut health, which is necessary if you drink as many beers as I do. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/money. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/money to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right. So let's talk turkey. Okay, I got one more question though. So how do they let you do media? And why do they let you do media like this? And like talk about the plays that you like. Is there a negative there, or I guess they've already made those plays by the time you say them somewhere?
Definitely that they already made the plays, and this isn't my real name, which is another reason I'm allowed to get away and do this. But the biggest thing is I pay for all of it. Like what last year, that Mac Jones going 5th overall and Trey going 3rd, I got some really good info about that draft thing, and the guy told me straight up, if you give this out on your show, you got to give me 10% of whatever you win on that. Again, I'm already paying a vig and a juice every time I make a bet, so I don't do it often, honestly. Like during the season, I'll give out big plays. Those are my own personal plays. But if I get a tip of this other group really liked, what was a really big one for me? Oh, the final week of the year, I had a group that loved the Jaguars. I think they might have been catching 8 at home against the Colts. I gave that on the show. I had to pay a big fee on that. So that's one of those where it's like there's an agreement with these groups. And if I'm going to give out their stuff, of course, I'll always pay it back just because I think any gambler knows it's kind of a karma-based business. Like you need good karma to make it in this business, and you need to build good relationships. So I have never gotten out of play where I didn't pay that person for that information or paid back, the people that helped me out in other ways. Again, there's so much to get into. Obviously, you don't have time for it, but a lot of my pay is in memorabilia. Like if I kill it in a bet, instead of tipping me cash, a guy will tip me in a Tom Brady rookie card. So a lot of stuff like that too. Some people want certain things. You can do a lot of trading of goods for picks. So there's a lot that does go into it, but I always balance out whatever I owe to someone if I give out a play.
Interesting. All right. So what are some of here we are, early mid-July. What are some of the season win totals that you're kind of liking right now?
So we already kind of talked about it. I'm going to be one of the few people all year that's going to be pounding this team, but I love the Jaguars coming into this season. I'm looking at a team that they're arguably going from the worst coaching hire in football to Doug Peterson, who I think is a brilliant coach, a man that knows how to coach up young talent and knows how to run a really good offense. So I'm getting a Jaguars team that people do not like. They've been considered an embarrassment. People made fun of them all last year. I love when teams are hated on and made fun of for what they did the following year. People don't take a step back and think, oh my God, this is a new year with Trevor Lawrence was compared to Andrew Luck, John Elway. This was a can't miss prospect. I've watched his tape. The kid has all the tools. His worst attribute is that 0.2 second of elongated him throwing the ball. He does have this weird little windup he does when he throws the ball. Not the end of the world. Like for a guy like him, with his athletic ability, I do think Doug Peterson will take this team to another level. So right now on DraftKings, they're sitting at 6, over 6 minus 120. That's a really, really, really good number in a 17-game schedule where I'm looking at a team that's going to be last place schedule. So they're going to play every team that came in last place in the division last year. And we already know that in this division, Tennessee's going to take a step back. We can talk about the Colts. Who knows really about the Colts with Matt Ryan and Houston? It's like kind of a division that there isn't just a really dominant team in this division. So if you're looking at a low win total on a team that could take a major step up, it's the Jaguars, a team that's improved on defense and improved on offense, and they're sitting at a low total of 6.
You know what, dude? I agree with you. I agree with you. Urban Meyer was a disaster last year. That team had no shot. Trevor Lawrence, I believe, will be much better year 2. I like what I'm hearing about ETN coming out of the OTAs and the spring. They've significantly upgraded their roster at a number of places, Christian Kirk and Trayvon Walker and whatever. They get ETN, but they have an adult in the room now. Like they have Doug Peterson, who I don't know why people don't give him more love. He beat Bill Belichick and Tom Brady with Nick Foles. He won the Super Bowl after his MVP candidate quarterback got hurt. Then the next year, he got to the divisional round again and was a dropped Alshon Jeffrey pass away from the conference championship again with Nick Foles again. And then the next year, that was my first year doing the preseason games. They had nobody at the end of the year. Nobody. And they won 4 in a row to win the division. I'm surprised with one bad year that people don't like Doug as much as I think they should, or that he wasn't as highly sought after as I think he should have been. And you make a really good point about the division because the Texans aren't great. We'll see about the Colts. I mean, they have Matt Pryor starting at left tackle. I've seen that movie before. That would scare the crap out of me if I was a Colts fan. And then the Titans are taking a step back. I don't care. Anybody says Titans are taking a step back. So all that means to me is not that the Jaguars are going to win the division necessarily, but they could win all 6 of those division games. Meaning they're not going to win all 6, but like all 6 of them are winnable games in my mind.
Literally, like this other pros we talked about literally in February because we were just joking about this. So you're telling me the Jags just need to go 3-3 in their division and then win 3 more games against a last place schedule? Yeah, I'm going to make that bet. And so I bet this multiple times all summer. It's one of my favorite bets right now.
What about as we look at another team that you like?
So for unders, I just want to give out an over started off because I know people hate unders, but unders have great value in the sense that if all you do is bet unders in these preseason bets, you're going to make money. It's just the way it is. Like the books know what they're doing. They know people love over. So
don't worry, dude. Fezzik talks about that all the time.
Good man. Good man. So you have to take this under in the sense that the books know what they're doing. Like the biggest sports books right now in America is, again, I love Vegas. It's New York. New York is the king of sports books right now. The amount of money that's bet monthly in their state is insane. So guess what we're going to get? Great value on fading New York teams. Let's start right here with the Jets. Jets were at 6 for a win total. I see DraftKings has moved them down to 5.5. Still at plus 135, under 5.5. I have this team at 4 wins for this season. Love this to fade the Jets. The Jets have the number 2 hardest schedule in all football. They're in, when power rated, one of the hardest divisions of all football. Again, the Bills have improved since last year. Miami's improved since last year. And New England's going to do what New England does. They're going to be better with Mac going into a second year. I like what the Jets are building in the draft, but you want to fade a team that won the draft, right? A team that knocked out every pick in their first round. They got 3 first-round picks that were great first picks. That doesn't really matter in football. Football is so – you kind of need the grown men. Like, I'm all about rookie drafts, but it's a great prospect for future teams. So, yeah, I'll be on this Jets team in the future, but there's between their schedule and the talent on this roster, and me not really fully believing yet in Zach Wilson, who's an undersized guy who didn't last all last season, right? He couldn't last taking the hits last season. So this to me is an easy bet taking an under in such a tough division that I just don't see the Jets making the improvements right away.
That's an interesting one because that is one that people, I think it might have gotten up to 6 at one point. People were really, after the draft, they were really feeling the Jets.
Yeah. That's where my value comes from. It's like when I talk to a guy at a sports book here in Philadelphia, and he's telling me that almost 98% of the bets and 90% of the money is coming on the over of the Jets win total. That's music to my ears. That's why I want to take that under. So unfortunately, other pros have already bet it down, like you said, from 6, but it's 5.5. That's still great value at a plus number.
Give me another one.
So we'll go back to an over. People are going to quickly learn if they listen to my show, The Favorites. I'm a huge Lions guy. I'm all in on the Lions this coming season. The Lions will become one of the nerds' favorite teams. Like any nerd you're going to talk to that does this stuff for a living, they're going to be, I put it into my computer system to spit me back out the lines. That's what we want. Like we want the nerds to be on this team. And now you look at their schedule, it comes even more where it's like, okay, they got an easy schedule. And you break down the draft they've had the last couple of years. They've built on the offensive line. They've built on the defensive line. That's one of the biggest things I look for is a built defensive line, a built offensive line. Again, we're going to talk about the Eagles coming up. That's why I love the Eagles this year. It's like the most important thing that people overlook because it's not sexy is the D-line, O-line. So this Lions team, to me, is one of the best O-lines put on the field. I love everything they've done with this team. And I'm looking at that division, and I see the Bears being one of the worst teams in football. I see Green Bay taking a step back. Now, they're kind of, they're going to be on the downslope here. Rodgers coming off 2 MVP runs. They've had incredible run in this division, Green Bay, but it can't keep going like this. Like, eventually a team like Detroit's going to catch up to them. Things will break right for them. So the fact that I'm looking at a team on paper that has a really, really stand-out team, and again, the only deficiency is Goff. We've seen Goff take a team to Super Bowl. Yeah, we can say that was more about the Rams, but I saw Goff have big moments last year. And now we're taking the factor of they had 3 games last year that they lost on the final second, the final play. I mean, people remember those back-to-back weeks of the field goals that they lost on. That's just mathematically, we're going to catch a couple wins this year. So right now on DraftKings, they have it at 6.5, and it's actually juiced up now. People have been betting the over for this Lions team. I love the Lions over. I've actually bet them Super Bowl, and I bet them the West Division at 9-1. So to me, this Lions team, I see a big step this year where people aren't really ready for it. But midway season, they'd be like, hey, look at that. The Lions are 4-2. So I love this Lions team coming to this season.
It's funny because Drew Dinsick said the same thing last week. So now we got 2 guys back-to-back that love the Lions. I love the Express. I love the denim you can get there. Here's the thing, though. I just had to do another speaking engagement, and I had to wear a suit. It's not cool to wear those heavy suits when it's hot out. Beat the heat in lightweight linen and breathable cotton fabrics from Express. All you need to do is find something for every destination at Express, online or in store. All right, Simon, one more. Give me one more. You want to go with the Birds? So wait, by the way, you're a Bears fan, right? You're a Bears fan.
I'm an Eagles fan. The helmet behind me is signed by Nick Foles. That's the only reason I got it here.
Oh, got it.
Helmet signed by Nick Foles. So I love Nick. Eagles are a great bet, honestly. They've been juiced up. That's the only reason I'm hesitant to give them out as one of my favorites, but I still love the value because at some books it's under 10, and I'm looking at DraftKings right now in New Jersey. It's 9.5 for their win total. So it's a season where the Eagles are coming to a season where arguably the best offensive line, according to Pro Football Focus, and graded out as the second best defensive line, right behind Pittsburgh. So no excuses. They've added the cornerbacks. They've added the wide receivers. We know Hurts has updated his throwing stance, how he's getting the ball out, his release. This is everything. I really do believe Hurts has that drive in him. This kid's overcome, always kind of being doubted on, always being told he's too small. I mean, heck, he got replaced after winning a national championship for Alabama, and he didn't let that stop him. He transferred to Oklahoma and got himself drafted by the Eagles. So I love the moxie and built of this Eagles team. And we know historically the NFC East, they don't have repeat champions. I mean, it's been 20 years since a team's won back-to-back in this division. So I like this Eagles to take a big step this year. And they have right behind Lions, they have the third easiest schedule projected this season. So it's just a really nice break for this Eagles team where they do have hard games, but almost all these hard games are at home. And we know that advantage of that home field advantage. So I do really like this Eagles team to take a big step this year with Hurts having his second full year as a starter.
We get an advantage every time we get Simon Hunter on the show. Check him out at Simon Hunter NFL. Great stuff, Simon. Really enjoyed it. Obviously, if you follow him on social, you can see some of his other plays. You can see when he's doing other media appearances. Love the breakdown of the Syndicate life. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming on the show again, Simon.
Thanks again, Ross. Hopefully next time Steve's here.
Yes, Steve will be here next week. Really looking forward to it. Other than that, good luck, everybody. Hope you guys win some money.
Thanks for listening to the Even Money Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, The Fantasy Feast, Business of Sports, and The College Draft. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.